ISD has let an employee go after claims a child was left locked inside of a classroom earlier this week. A parent says her 11-year-old child, who has special needs, was left unattended and locked inside of a classroom at Dunbar College Preparatory Academy Tuesday afternoon after an after-school event. The parent claims the school told her the student was on a bus, and the driver confirmed that to administrators. When the parent told teachers her child does not ride the bus, they went looking and found her in a classroom. Lubbock ISD released a statement to KCBD today saying district administration is aware of the incident and is working with the family and the student. The district also confirmed the person involved is no longer employed by the district.